get this figure and more. And hey, my name is Jobby, and have you ever wanted to build a model kit while feeling sexually awkward? Well, I've got just the worst psychological issues, forgive me, guys. Gourai, at least I think that's how you pronounce it, is from a line of figures called Frame Arms Girl, which consists of cute anime girls of questionable age in badass suits of armor. Now, does that sound familiar, or is it just me? The difference between Bandai's Armor Girls project and Kotobukiya's Frame Arms Girl is that this line is a bunch of model kits, which means you had to build them and paint them if you have any sense of dignity. Guess who doesn't have that? Building a semi-human model kit was surreal, to say the least. I mean, what am I supposed to do when I see a straight-up butt on a runner? The design of this model kit is a thing of beauty. Now, the Gourai, and by extension all of the Frame Arms Girl line, are humanization of Kotobukiya's previous line of model kits called Frame Arms. And the Gourai is based on a design called the Gourai. I don't know what I expected. This design does a great job of honoring the bulkiness of the original design, but also adding a sense of gracefulness and fragility. That's not to say the kit is fragile, it's actually pretty solid, for the most part. Fuck this thing. I mean, I love a good shoulder cannon, but you're better off gluing this piece if anything. And the chest piece has a tendency to fall off. And unfortunately, there's nothing there. You're gonna have to look further down if you want to get your rocks off. Look, as much as it doesn't sound like it, I'm trying to be as non-creepy as possible, but put it in my ass, look at this thing. I haven't seen this great of a figure booty since the Figma Satsuki. Ay, someone get me a therapist, please. For the sake of my mental well-being, I do not want to linger on this longer than I have to, but you'll notice there's some stripes. And out of the box, it doesn't have stripes. What gives? Well, you get a sheet of water slides, the glorious alternative to stickers. And I love water slides so much that I want to show you how they work. So let's get set up. Unlike stickers, you can't just peel off the markings from the sheet. You actually have to cut out what decal you want, dip it in water for a few seconds, and get a cotton bud to gently slide off the marking onto the part. Now, the cool thing about water slides is that you can adjust them as long as they're wet. But the downside for me specifically is that the more I adjust it, the worse that it gets. I wish these were stickers. And I applied the rest of the water slides off camera because it's 4 AM and I want to die. And once they've all dried off, you can see that they practically melt into the plastic. No curling up or peeling off like stickers, but they can get scratched up, which is why I would suggest that you top coat water slides after you've applied them. And there's solutions that you can apply to the part before applying water slide to help the marking bond to the plastic more. I've never used them before, but I assumed that it would make water slides that much better. Except when they're on curved parts, that was literally ass. And speaking of ass, her head sculpt is not that, sorry. Beautiful sculpting on the hair, soul-crushing numb mark, and her face is pretty. Unlike most of the parts on this kit, the faces do not come on runners, and the eyes are printed on decently, but the facial expression is a bit blank. I guess some of you are into that, but I prefer my girls with a bit more character. And just like a Figma figure, you can remove the hair, tear off the face, and replace it with one of two alternate faces, looking to the left and looking to the right. I hope that this is only Gourai and not every other Frame Arms Girl kit, because I enjoy everything else except the lack of character in the face. And the instructions actually suggest to apply some blush on the kit, so you can make her look even more like a blow-up doll. I mean, it's perfectly fine, but kinda boring. And just like the face, her hands are also not on runners. You get a pair of open hands, fists, relaxed hands, pointing hands, and grabby hands. Needless to say, this kit comes with a healthy amount of accessories. Using the grabby hands, she can hold this knife, which is unpainted and bland. Careful with that! And if you're not using the knife, you can take this piece, plug it into her leg, and slide the knife right into there. And for her second weapon, mamma mia, that's a big gun. It's so big and heavy that she can't even hold it up, which makes me question why this is even necessary. But then... yes! Not even booty could get me this excited. And you can see that her treads are deployed for extra stability. And as cool as the weapon looks, it does raise an issue I have with the kit. The kit is mostly great at giving you color-separated parts. I mean, some of these parts are extra tiny, much like a master-grade Gundam. But that just means you don't have to rely on stickers or decals. But then there are just some areas that are left completely unattended, like most of the cannon, the knife blade, and a lot of the body parts that I can totally see being separate parts. I mean, this is a separate piece, why not that? But this particular complaint is futile because the issue could be solved with a bit of painting. And if you thought that was all her accessories, surprise transformation. And here we have what she looks like on the box. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. Maybe she's seductively taking off a armored stocking. But whatever is happening, it looks pretty cool. But the armored stocking could detach really easily, which can get annoying. And these special parts don't have any joints in them. So no elbow, no knee. Technically, there's a ball joint at the hip, but that. But if we get her back to normal, you'll find that she has a good amount of use caution when swiveling your model kits. Ball joint at the head and the base of the neck can look up that far and look down that far. Ball joint at the cannon can move out and rotate. Shoulder pads have a swivel. Ball joint joint at the shoulder, which allows for rotation. Arm moves out. Bicep swivels so tight that it's not even worth it. Bend at the elbow. Ball joint at the wrist. Swivel at the fuck. Maybe I'll have better luck here. Little bit of chest pivot, arching back, and a crunch. Ball joint at the hip. Ball joint on this thigh armor, and that allows for a not so great kick. And then I can move back that far. Decent spread. Of course, the treads can deploy. Ball joint here, which allows them to pivot up and down at the ankle, an ankle pivot, and a true blue. And if you want more posing options, you can take a stand, detach this part because the stand is technically not compatible, plug it into here, and in this case I'm using a Bandai Tamashii Nations Act 510. Posability on this kit is pretty good, especially in the upper body area. But when it comes to the legs, the lack of a good kick really is disappointing. I think it'd be nice if the skirt were a flexible piece like Figma figures. But with that being said, you can still get some great poses. And the size of the kit is surprisingly big. Here's Figma Marakaname, SH Monster Arts Godzilla, Masterpiece Optimus Prime, Master Grade Zaku, and if I painted the kit, it would look a lot like that. And another cute model kit, the High Grade Bear Guy 3. And there's no denying that this thing looks cute. But overall, the kit's good. I could definitely see this kit being awesome if I went in and fixed some of the stability issues and painted all the glaringly uncolored parts. But I can honestly say that it's enough for me to want more. And I'm not just saying that because the Lunar Toy Store told me to. All sellout jokes aside, it's totally worth it to get more than one Frame Arms Girl kit because the more kits you have, the more options that you have for customization. You can see some of these configurations in the instruction booklet and on the box, and that looks amazing. So if you have one Frame Arms Girl kit, I recommend you go down to the Lunar Toy Store and get yourself another one, and maybe 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 another one. Lunar Toy Store, I'm glad to have you back on board, and I predict a long and productive future. So a little fun fact, Frame Arms Girl has an anime, and in the show, the model kits actually walk and talk and have personalities. I pray for my safety.
New leader